Welcome to Boxing During Dinner. This is episode 99.
Yep.
This is the Mitch Williams episode, the Wild Thing Vaughn episode, and every other number 99. Warren Sapp, right? Warren
This is
Sapp
the Wayne
episode?
Gretzky episode.
Jason Taylor.
The
Jason Taylor episode?
Sure,
why not? Yeah, because episode 100 is nobody else's episode.
No,
There's
you
no
can't,
number 100.
can't wear that as a jersey number. They won't let you.
You really can't. But yeah, welcome to Boxing During Dinner. As you can see, we're back in our birthplace. Well, birthplace was my former apartment, which we can't break into.
Although that'd be a great way to celebrate episode 100.
by doing a little B&E.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex's apartment is where we've been recording most of our episodes, and it's a nice way to spend episode 99 before you go elsewhere for episode 100.
It's gonna be crazy.
So yeah, we're planning a pretty big show for you guys, and by pretty big I mean pretty big to us, and maybe you guys can care less, but whatever.
They're watching. They still care. If
Yeah,
they
they
made
do-
it through
they do
99
care.
episodes, they're gonna be there for 100.
So David, lots of opinions by both of us on the fight this weekend, and it's been a hot topic, and on Twitter, in the boxing world, and I've seen people getting angry from both sides even after the Malignaggi Broner fight. You were there. What did you think won that fight? Did you think the post-fight comments were warranted? And where does Adrian Broner stand now in your mind?
Yeah. Well, I had Paulie Malignaggi winning the fight by the 2-round margin that one scorecard had him winning by. But I see easily that Adrian Broner landed cleaner, more crisp shots, and his punch stats ultimately proved he landed more shots. But I felt like Paulie Malignaggi was dictating the pace for a good chunk of the fight. Broner definitely had his moments. Obviously, he ended up winning the fight. But Malignaggi, threw a few hundred punches more than Broner. Granted, we're not looking at a power puncher, and he's not, going to dent Broner's chin whatsoever. He landed, a lot of shots to the body that by a bigger puncher might have made a difference. Not upset with the fact that Broner won this fight because that was a very reasonable decision to me. But Malignaggi's post-fight comments to me are on point. The fact that, one, Al Haymon fighters continue to get protected, unless Lucas Matisse knocks them out, and that the judge's scorecard that turned in 117-111 was outrageous, and I tend to agree. This is not by any stretch the worst scorecard we've ever seen turned in.
No, not at all.
At all. But I think
You can ask
Malignaggi-
Ruslan Lara.
Yeah, exactly. Or Richard Abril when he fought Brandon Rios. Yeah, exactly. Or Lara with Paul Williams. But I think that Malignaggi is saying something that a lot of fighters probably want to say and don't have the balls to say it a lot of times, which is, yeah, a lot of fighters, maybe they're not all Al Haymon fighters, but it seems like the scorecards invariably seem to turn towards the favor of the protected fighter. This is not the best example of it, but I'm with him to an extent that a 117-111 scorecard is not accurate. It was, it was one of those 115, 113, maybe 116, 112
Right.
type of fights. And I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to comment on the video and say I'm a lunatic. I try to be pretty logical most of the time, but again, maybe not the best example, but there are protected fighters.
I mean, I disagree with you to just a bit. I don't agree that it's only Al Haymon fighters that get protected. I mean, we've seen time and time again through the history of boxing, pretty bogus decisions. Did I think this was a bogus decision in the grand scheme of things? No. I don't see it being a 117-111 win for Broner. I did see Broner winning 115-113. I think, Malignaggi did his job, what many expected. But, I came into this fight a pretty, big fan of Broner's skills. And, we mentioned in on Boxing During Dinner time and time again that I think Broner is one of the most skilled fighters in all of boxing. What he did to Antonio DeMarco was just, fabulous. I thought it was a masterpiece, the way he handled the 135-pound champion. But I was highly disappointed with him on Saturday night. Paulie Malignaggi is a likable guy to some extent. A lot of people might find him obnoxious, but I like Paulie. I think he does a good job on Showtime. Every time I've seen him in person, he's a great guy, like very, very nice. He'll talk to you in interviews, take pictures and all that stuff with the fans. And he's just a good guy, when you come up to him and talk to him and stuff. But I thought Broner was going to handle him pretty easy. I mean, I thought Malignaggi would do his job. He would come to fight. He would not let up. I mean, there's a guy that fought with a broken jaw against Miguel Cotto.
Yeah.
Your favorite,
Right.
and but I thought Broner, being the skilled fighter that I guess I must have thought a little too much of him too early, but he disappointed. He could have, I thought he probably could have stopped him. The way I thought about him before this fight. Obviously, that didn't happen. He looked like a good fighter, and by good fighter I mean he looked like Andre Berto. And Andre Berto's a good fighter. He's not a great fighter.
Right.
He's a guy that every time he stepped up against a big puncher or a guy that's been aggressive has lost. Now, do I see this happening with Adrian Broner? Maybe. I mean, he wasn't moving much. Was it because Malignaggi had no pop in his punch? Maybe. Maybe we'll see him fight better the next time. But it created all these questions. It created the intrigue of wanting to see an Adrian Broner against a Lucas Matisse or a Marcos Maidana. It's like the what if he gets, that punch lands on his face, but it's not Paulie Malignaggi, it's Marcos Maidana. And then his post-fight comments were stupid.
Not a surprise, though.
Not a surprise, but maybe I found him funny before because he looked fabulous in all these fights, and maybe I just found him obnoxious now because you fought the worst. You probably had the worst performance of your life in your pro boxing career. And you start making all these statements like if you whitewash Paulie Malignaggi, which he didn't.
And you can get away with comments like that when you are Floyd Mayweather and you are whitewashing all of your opponents. But when you're not beating them that way, you can't. Your shtick starts to become a total pain in the ass.
And that's the thing. People compare him to Floyd Mayweather because of some of his antics and stuff. But I don't remember Floyd Mayweather being such an ass clown after a fight. Floyd Mayweather at Adrian Broner's age was destroying people. I mean, he made Diego Corrales, who was the best at that weight division next to him, look like an amateur.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Floyd Mayweather Jr. is Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Adrian Broner is Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner is not Floyd Mayweather Jr.
And that is a very important point to make. Because Broner continues to align himself with Floyd Mayweather's persona, the comparisons are going to exist whether he wants them to or not.
Right.
Because he's following the same shtick, he's modeling his fighting style after it, and he's not shying away from the comparisons. He's always referencing his closeness with Floyd. So while people are listening and saying, oh, they're not the same fighter, no, they're not. But he's not doing anything to separate himself from the guy either. I would actually venture to say that the biggest winner on that night is the guy who lost the fight. Because Adrian Broner's stock was way up here, a 10 to 11 to 1 favorite to beat Malignaggi and knock his block off.
In some
and it probably existed, but then you've got Malignaggi who comes out and beats the odds, maybe wins the fight according to some people, and Broner way underperforms. Well, Malignaggi is still in the picture to have pretty big level fights at the welterweight division, and Adrian Broner probably has to crawl down to 140 or 135 now to prove his legitimacy, of jumping over these weight classes. So I don't think it's really a loss for either of these guys, but it's more of a loss for Broner.
I mean, for Adrian Broner, what he has to do, I agree with you. He has to go down in weight. I'd say 140,
which is what he says he's going to do. I don't know
if it would be beneficial to him to go back down to 135. We've seen a guy bulk up in the past, like a Roy Jones Jr. That he went to heavyweight. He went down 2 weight classes. Didn't go so well for Roy. Adrian Broner should go down to 140. Maybe he proves us wrong. Maybe in his next fight he looks fabulous. I mean, he does have the skill set.
Right.
I was surprised that he fought the way he did. I expected a completely different fight from Adrian Broner. So I was highly disappointed the way he fought, the way he acted after a close fight. Give your opponent respect. I mean, Floyd, for as much a ruckus he used to make before fights, because it looks like Floyd has grown up before our eyes and he's a different fighter now.
He's a post-prison Floyd.
but Floyd, he would clown you before the fight, but after the fight it was all respect.
Yep. And
always has been with whether it be Corrales or De La Hoya, it didn't matter. That's what fighters do. Now if you're gonna continue these antics after the fight, Malignaggi tried to shake his hand, and Malignaggi, I understand. You get in the heat of the moment, and you might make some comments as well that aren't beneficial to you.
Right.
But Broner acted unprofessional. Then Paulie acted a little unprofessional too by making some statements.
Yep.
And the only reason I say unprofessional is because he has to go back to the microphone
and be Showtime's voice.
And be the color commentator for Showtime. He has to be that Roy Jones of Showtime or the Sugar Ray Leonard back then of Showtime. And you can't make those political statements if you're trying to call a fight fair. Because then the next time you call an Al Heyman fight,
right?
there's going to be a little bit of bias.
Right, your judgment's clouded. And for the record, Jim Gray sucks. I hate the way he interviews fighters after fights. And challenging Paulie Malignaggi to say, "Are you sure you really want to go down this path?" Like,
well, I mean,
ask the questions
do you
and get out
remember
of the way.
what he did to Pete Rose?
Yeah.
It's like trying to be the hero and trying to get him to come out and say, "Yeah, bet on baseball."
Yeah.
I mean,
Jim Gray needs to go back to his pay grade, and I know that's ironic because we're essentially doing a function of what he's doing,
and you know what?
reporting on the sport, but he's out of line.
And Steven Espinoza has done a great job at Showtime. I mean, what he's done on Showtime,
virtually overnight,
has been great, and I have no problem with Mauro Ronaldo. I think he's a very good blow-by-blow commentator. I like Al Bernstein. He's been doing this forever. I like Paulie Malignaggi as a color commentator. Some people say that he's not very good. I think he's really good. I think he's one of the best. And Brian Kenny as a studio host. I mean, Brian Kenny is one of the brightest minds in all of sports, not only in boxing.
With poofy hair.
So he's built together a nice team. The only constant there for years has been Jim Gray, and it's like, kind of, why is he still there?
Guys gotta go.
Guys gotta go.
We know two people who are available. In theory.
Yeah, Steven, I could be the next Jim Gray, and I won't ask obnoxious questions. No, but and his crowning achievement is going to be the Canelo Mayweather fight, David. And right now they're on tour. They're going to be here in Miami, which is our hometown. They're creating a lot of buzz for this fight, and they're already sold out. This is proving to be, on paper, the biggest fight in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I really think. As far as promotion goes and things like that, it's already trumped Mayweather versus De La Hoya.
Well, maybe I'm going too far in the last 20 years because I think Trinidad De La Hoya had the biggest buzz of any fight in the last 20 years.
Let's call it what it is. It's significant. It's in the top 3 of the past 20 years, and I think nobody can disagree with that. Obviously, pay-per-view sales are going to ultimately render that verdict. But an 11-city promotional tour is unprecedented, and the fact that they've had incredible turnout in the first 3 cities that they've been to already, and one of those cities was Grand Rapids, Michigan. Is an indication
the home of Floyd.
Right, but it's an indication that this fight has really captured the general public's attention in a way that 3 to 4 years ago they hoped the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight would. The general public is buying this fight. Mayweather is just a 2-1 favorite. I say just a 2-1 favorite because no one else has gotten odds against him like that. Right. It's a live body. I mean, I can't wait. I'm genuinely excited, as I'm sure a lot of fight fans are.
And I know we mentioned it. I think we did mention it quickly last week that Canelo showed up to the promo shoot, and he was already in good shape. Yeah. And we haven't seen that in the past with some of Floyd's opponents. So let's wait and see what Canelo could do. But you know what? Let's forget Canelo and Floyd for now because Gennady Golovkin will be fighting on Saturday.
Armando's newest man crush.
My man crush.
He's supplanted Amir Khan.
And you know what? Carlos Molina's fighting for a world title soon.
He is. Yes.
Finally, he's getting a shot against E.J. Smith.
In July 19th, I think.
I can't wait for that fight. But Gennady Golovkin fights this weekend against Matthew Macklin. I think he's just going to continue proving that he's the best middleweight in the world. I think he's going to knock him out. A lot of people think Macklin might give him trouble. But let's face it. I mean, Macklin in his last fight that he looked great. He fought a guy that should not have been fighting in Youssef Mack.
Oh yeah, well of course. But I'm gonna go with you. I have the same prediction. But Matthew Macklin is a very stiff test.
And he did fight Youssef Mack, right?
Youssef Mack. Yeah. I think you're right. Someone's gonna comment if we're wrong.
Maybe. While you talk,
yeah, look it up. But Matthew Macklin has fought. I think it was Felix Sturm that he fought, and basically won a middleweight title. Is it Felix Sturm? You're gonna have to look that up too. All of this on the fly. This is really not good for our show.
Yes.
But Matthew Macklin fought Felix Sturm and basically won a fight that he got robbed in. So he should have been recognized as a champion then. And he pushed Sergio Martinez to the limit in New York City.
Correction. The Youssef Mack of the 160-pound division, Joaquim Alcine.
Yes.
But they all blend in together. Joaquim Alcine, Youssef Mack.
They're used to getting knocked out by the elite talents.
A guy that's going to get knocked out, who was maybe good at some point of their career, but Macklin, wiped the floor with them. And, I think Golovkin's going to knock out Macklin. Not to say that Macklin's a bad fighter, but Gennady Golovkin is that good. I think he's about to, be unleashed on the 160-pound division.
Yeah.
Wherever that may be, because not many people are fighting. Chavez is going to fight soon, I guess. Martinez is recovering from injury. Right. But Golovkin, I think he's one of the best talents in all of boxing.
Which is interesting because he's talked about fighting, and I mentioned this last week, he could go down to 154. that will never happen because no one will fight him at 160. Who's going to fight him at 54 with that kind of power? It'd be interesting to see how the next 18 months play out, and Gennady Golovkin and the Sergio Martinez battle, I think, is going to be decided in that time. And then ultimately, all comers would have to go through Golovkin, which I think would happen at that point. And then maybe he goes to 168 after that. There's who knows?
And who knows who we'll have next week on episode 100?
Because we don't know.
We really don't know. I know probably like Ahmed Albiali will be there.
Yep, Ahmed, one of our
Daniel Blaseres will be there.
You have to come, Daniel.
You have to.
We're going to try to bring some models back, which we're about 50 weeks removed from having.
I know, we keep mentioning it, but...
We're going to try.
But episode 100 next week from Randazzo's Little Italy, and then Alex will be out for a few weeks, so... you have to watch some reruns or watch episode 100 over and over again.
We will. We'll see you next week.